Hello and welcome to the Turf and Touchdowns podcast, episode number 15, we think. We're focusing on horse racing once again this week, and we've got Grade 1 action to focus on over in the US. We'll get to that in a moment. My name's Luke Elder. Joining me, as always, is my wife, Tom Collins.
Oh, it never gets old, these new little nicknames you give me. The wife, I don't like this one. I think next week's going to be better, to be fair. But it is better than whatever you said last week. Was it partner?
No, I didn't say anything last week. And then you said co-pilot?
No, I think you said partner. And then I think I said pilot would have been better. Co-pilot?
That was, yeah. No, I said I was going to go for partner. There we go.
Yeah.
But you've got a nice little pretty butterfly on your shirt, so.
I do. To be fair, I wore this in episode 10. So I'm just kind of keeping up the theme. And actually, we had a winner in episode 10, so that's kind of why I've got it on.
Right. Two things. Firstly, the last two podcasts, I've worn the same shirt. And I went to put my hand on that shirt because it's clean again and it's back to the top of the pile. I thought, no. We're going to go for this nice little light grey number today. Perfect for the heat. And also last week, right? So down here, if you're watching on YouTube, down here, there's normally toys galore and arts and crafts stuff. Down here are dogs. You could see Dolly last week. They're trapped outside. Pip is rolling around at the moment. Beds are pushed aside. There's a mirror that sits right here. And again, if you're not watching this on YouTube, that mirror was in shot the entire time last week.
That's not
so front and center, business, Luke. All you can see over here was my fat back. It was horrible, and no one told me that the mirror was in shot.
But to be fair, in my defense, I can't actually see it on our recording platform, so that's me taken out of the equation. But yeah, I didn't even watch the replay back of the podcast, so I'm going to have to now.
It's horrific. Like, it's just fat back Luke, and then every now and then Dolly, the black dog, just pottering around and me giving her a little stroke. You can't see that front and center. Like here, it's just like, oh, his arm's down to the side, he must be stretching. No, he's stroking Dolly. You can see everything.
Excellent.
Raging. How was your little one's birthday, by the way?
Good. Yeah, good. It was only a small second birthday celebration, but it was good. Yeah, we went to the zoo on Monday, Whipsnade, and just opened a million presents and did a lot of DIY with these horrible flat pack kind of. I don't even know what to describe them as. It's a miniature kitchen basically, but it's just shocking.
All right, welcome to Dad Corner.
Yeah, let's get some racing.
How long did the kitchen take you to build? There's no wrong answer here. There's no wrong answer.
The answer was 2 hours 15 minutes, but it would have been quicker. However, I was kind of trying to protect my right hand to then play golf Wednesday, and the screwdriver was destroying it, so I had to go and get a glove. I'm not going to get involved with it, but it took a long time, and my hand was torn up.
What you need one of those little electric ones.
Yeah, I do.
Just saying, cuts the time in half.
Yeah.
But that's this week's segment of Dad Weekly. That's going to be a weekly thing, apparently. Let's look back at last week. I'm sick to death, Tom, of previewing races where they just crawl early on. And it's not just a crawl. The wrong horses are in front and they crawl. Last week, there was a good pace setup. On paper, everything made sense for them to go. Not crazy, but a good gallop. Evie Jets decided not to go forward. White Beam did. That's fine. A few others that we thought might sort of push the pace a little bit. It just didn't happen. My selection, Nisi Marie, was out the window immediately. It was a long shot anyway, but she needs an end-to-end gallop. Your selection, Chili Flag, again, held up last. You've got absolutely zero chance of winning that.
Yeah, it was game over after about 10 strides for both of us, really. You definitely needed speed. I needed a better tactical position in the race. I thought I'd be a little bit more aggressive, maybe sit 3/4 of the way down. But he decided to sit last. Again, game over. We did put White Beam and Gino Romantica up as well. I put Gino Romantica. We both said White Beam had good winning chances. So we kind of had the horses. We gave them good mentions that were there at the finish, but obviously our main selections didn't perform. It's kind of what you get in sometimes these turf route contests, especially in New York. This week, we're switching to a dirt contest with a million front runners in. So this should not be the case going forward. Hopefully, we can get back to the winners rather than picking horses that were just also rans and not suited by pace setups.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed, albeit we seem to jinx things at the moment, so we'll see. Just to say before we do crack on with the Haskell preview, if you are a fan of the Turf and Touchdowns podcast, do subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Comments massive help. Leave a comment on how handsome you think Tom is this week. That's all we worry about, or how quick you can build flat pack children's kitchens. Also, we're on Twitter at Turf Touchdowns, on all other social medias at Turf and Touchdowns. Let's talk about the Grade 1 Haskell, which, amazing news, Tom. We've got 8 runners to look at, except we don't.
Yeah.
Because Fierceness is going to come out.
Yeah, one of the morning line favourites, 5-2, Fierceness currently, is supposedly not going to run. He's going to go towards the Jim Dandy. So take him out of the equation, which, I mean, I think we were probably factoring him out anyway. I don't know your opinion, but I certainly wasn't really considering as a major player in the race despite his price. But anyway, take him out. No real each way option here unless you like playing 2 places. But it doesn't leave us with like a terrible field. We've still got plenty of good horses. And as I say, a good speed burn up in the early stages is likely.
Yes, we'll talk about the pace because, as we've learned in the past few weeks, that is crucial in races like this. There's a lot on. Our old friend Dornoch is back, though.
Yeah, he's drawn inside as well, so they've got to go forward. We saw him drawn post 1 in the Kentucky Derby. He briefly missed it, and that was game over. He never really ran his race. Last time up in the Belmont, drew better, mid to wide, broke well, made the front, and won. So they're going to go forward from inside. They have to. They have no choice. He's going to set a relatively fast fractions if it was just him that was likely to go forward. But there are other speed horses in here. Tuscan Sky's got all-round speed. He dictated the matters when going 4 a breadth with 3 other rivals last time at Monmouth and then went on to win. So he's not going to be fearful of a pace burn-up. He'll be forward. Then you've got Timberlake. I mean, he has to be forward, right? He's got no other option. He's coming off a long layoff and stretching out a distance. You've got to use speed with him. Then the outsider Just Step on It, last time up, went forward and tried to make the pace. Again, it looks like he's going to employ those tactics. And then you've also got Mindframe, who sat prominent in the Belmont. So it looks like there are a lot of horses that want to be on or near the speed. A couple of those I've mentioned I don't think will be right up in the vanguard. They might probably sit in the second flight. But definitely Dornoch, probably Timberlake, definitely Tuscan Sky.
I have a slight issue with Tusken Sky being on the front end. And my issue with him is that I don't know if they necessarily wanted to do that last time around. Javier Castellano was on board, and as you mentioned, there were like 5 wide. There was like a group of 4 that was weirdly 4 off the rail. And then I think Javier Castellano just saw the inside rail, and he had to work to get there. It wasn't a case that Tuscan Sky took him there. He had to really ask Tuscan Sky to go forward. He managed to nip up the inside rail. He had the absolute perfect trip from start to finish. It was ideal. I love how he hit the line, Tuscan Sky, but I just wonder against better horses like this. I get last time Domestic Product was in there, Hades was in there. They were 2 of them that were forced fairly wide. Hades was kind of an issue for that. But I just don't think he'll be as fast as Dornoch early, but we should still have good pace to aim at.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. Insofar as maybe he's not as fast as Dornoch early. Maybe he's one that has to sit in that second flight. But there still should be some, 2 or 3 vying for the lead. I disagree in the fact that Tuscan Sky, I think, has the ability to win this race, but he's not as one-dimensional as maybe he's looked in the past. And I think if he's ridden relatively prominently, even if that is on the lead alongside Dornoch or just in behind, I think he's going to play a huge part. Javier Castellano, as you say, kind of had to rouse him up in the early stages. I think it might be a little bit different here. He seems to be a horse who's maturing and getting quicker, which you don't see too often with these Todd Pletcher types. But I will issue a spoiler alert early and say Tuscan Sky was the last off my shortlist before coming down on my selection.
Same. Exactly the same. Tuscan Sky is the one horse in the race I do not want getting first run on me because I don't think he will come back because he's a real strong stayer. Dornoch, I mean, normally we'd say that he's a really strong stayer about any Belmont winner, but obviously it was over mile 2 this year. He took full advantage of a speed favouring track. I didn't see it coming, I must say, but it wasn't a performance that was completely out of the blue. We know Dornoch is a good horse. It's just that he hadn't quite shown it to us for a little while.
Yeah, he's one of these horses that's really frustrating me, but I love him at the same time. There aren't many of those around, I have to admit, but Dornoch is a horse that I've always loved, basically due to his reputation originally. I know that Danny Gargan loved him when he was a 2-year-old prior to his debut. I actually tipped him first time up, which I rarely do, to be honest, as main selections. Obviously on Sky Sports it's different because you cover so many races. But as a main selection, I tipped Dornoch. He ran second on the debut, then came back and got beaten in the stakes race. He then went on to win at Keeneland, not in impressive fashion, and then took the Remsen, beating Sierra Leone. And at that point, it was like, okay, the Dornoch has arrived. After that Remsen, I then bet him for the Kentucky Derby, where he drew inside, didn't really show up. Prior to that, he ran two quite middling races. So it was like, okay, is this horse not trained on from 2 to 3? What's happened with Dornoch? And then last time in the Belmont, of course, when we were both against him, he goes and wins. He's very tricky to get right, seemingly. However, the clear tick in the box for him is if he gets on the front end, he tends to run his race. If he can lead from 1, he's going to be a threat. I don't think he'll hold on, but he'll be in the first 3. If he doesn't lead from the inside, he'll probably not place.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's a race where you're probably going to know your fate very early on with Dornoch. If you get to the front, great. If you don't, then see you again next time. His old friend is back in the form of Mindframe, who we were both with in the Belmont. I still, watching the replay back, have no idea how he didn't go past. I think he did go past at one point, and then greenness is what I'm going to put it down to, led him to hanging towards the centre of the track. But to do that on your third start, and it wasn't just a typical Belmont, it was effectively a mini Kentucky Derby. It was Sierra Leone in there as well. I think this is a horse that we have to take very, very seriously in here. Look, he's going to be a likely shorter price favourite. We're probably looking 6 to 4-ish, 13 to 8. But I think he is without doubt the one to beat.
I'd go even shorter, to be honest. With the news that Fierceness is likely to not run here, I think we may see 5 to 4 about Mindframe. Even in the early market with our firms over here, by the off, he'll be verging on even money, I'd suggest. Like this horse has the most upside of any other runner in the field. He's also arguably got joint best form along with Dornoch from that Belmont Stakes second. He threw the race away, as you say, due to inexperience rather than the horse not wanting to win. So the traders would have seen that, obviously. It's a grade 1 part of the Triple Crown. They're going to know that Mindframe was actually the best horse in the race. Mm-hmm. I think they've got to put him in, install him as the short price favourite. If you go back to his previous 2 runs, he was just a horse with loads of upside, the potential to be a superstar, but not yet proven. The Belmont Stakes runner-up effort kind of proved that he has the ability to really play a part in this 3-year-old Grade 1 division this year. And more crucially than anything, and I was going to save this for the pick section, but more crucially than anything, he's already proven that he doesn't have to be on the front. He won his second start at Churchill on the Kentucky Derby undercard by making all the running. Last time in the Belmont, he was prominent with a fast pace up front. He didn't lead, but he was prominent in the race. On those 2 pieces of form alone, you think maybe this horse has to be near the speed. A bit like Fierceness in that regard. But you go back to his debut at Gulfstream Park. In my opinion, that is the most impressive first-time starting performance of any horse I've seen in 2024, and he came from off the speed. I think in a race like this, where you've got lots of horses that want to be on the pace or near it, he can sit mid-division. Maybe he won't, maybe he'll be more aggressive, but he could sit mid-division and still win. Whereas any of those that want to be in the front, I think if they were mid-division, they would lose. And that provides a tactical versatility that no other horse in this race has.
For sure. I think the draw helps him do that as well, being out a bit deeper on the track. I feel like it's kind of a reserved draw for Irad. He can jump, because the horse will jump out on terms with the others. You're not going to miss the break with him. He can look across effectively, see what everyone else is doing, and right then he can decide, well, I want to go forward. I want to sit back. I think from the get-go, despite probably not being on a front runner, I think Irad controls this race from almost start to finish. He'll put Mindframe exactly where he wants to be. I'd be disappointed, and again, spoiler alert, I'd be disappointed if Mindframe couldn't win this. Is there a chance with Mindframe that we're looking at the best 3-year-old in training at the moment?
In the US, definitely, I'd say. I still have this thing.
I love City of Troy. He's so amazing.
No, City of Troy, okay, I do think City of Troy is probably a little bit more talented from what we've seen so far, but that's on turf. I still think Forever Young is the best of the 3-year-old horses we've seen in the US this year. Obviously, he's Japanese trained, but he ran in the Kentucky Derby. So I still am of the opinion that he's better, but maybe if Mindframe wins this and, does it nicely, then he could leapfrog Forever Young. But I'm with Forever Young for the Classic still, as we mentioned in the Antipost podcast a couple of weeks ago. So I'm pretty strong on that opinion. Mindframe will have to put in a pretty big effort here.
You just got yourself some homework right here.
Go on.
You've mentioned the Classic video, so edit that somewhere around here.
Oh yeah, okay, fine. What
Yeah,
I
click that.
can,
Click somewhere around here.
yeah, it'll be up there. It'll be there, I think.
That was like Saturday Night Fever vibes. That was that was some interesting pointing. Mindframe likely to be the short price favourite. I mean, we were going to talk about fierceness. There's no real point because he's not going to run. He's going to go towards the Jim Dandy. Anything else at all that you wanted to talk about in this race?
I think just we will. I think it's worth just saying a line or two on fierceness. I know he's not likely to run here, but just moving forward because he's always going to take money. I presume you were dead against him. I'm dead against him if he was going to run in this spot. He's just a horse I don't want to go forward with. I don't trust him at the moment. And until he produces an A plus effort like we saw in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year or even the Florida Derby, until I see something like that again, I'm going to be of the opinion that he's not a horse to back in proper grade ones this campaign. So, albeit you're scratching him off, he's not going to run in this race, 99% likelihood. Moving forward in the Jim Dandy, for example, fierceness is not for me. Talking about a couple of the other runners, Jasper's Pride's not good enough. Timberlake, I don't understand why he's in the race. How are you supposed to win this? You're stretching out in distance against top quality 3-year-olds with a horse who hasn't really proved that he even wants a mile, let alone a mile and an eighth, and he's coming off a long layoff. It looks like a spot where Brad's just gone, okay, we'll run Timberlake then, I guess. He's not for me at all. I can't have him. Just Step On It's not got the ability to win. And C Streak is interesting because he's a Monmouth regular. He has that course form for a trainer in Eddie Owens who strikes over 25% in Monmouth Stakes races, but again, probably just lacks that talent that is required to win at the Haskell.
Yeah, there were two horses that were put in this and supplemented. I think Sea Streak was one of them. Maybe Just Step On It was the other, or Jasper's Pride, one of the two anyway. But it was going to be a 5-runner race. Two horses supplemented to at least give us a little bit more of a field to look at. Just regards to fierceness as well. One more big clue that fierceness won't run, other than Mike Rapoli saying we're not going to run, we're going to go for the Jim Dandy, is that John Velazquez, he's got, I think, 7 rides at Saratoga on Saturday. He's down for 2 at Monmouth, but they're not going to happen. One of them is fierceness himself, so he'll be at Saratoga anyway, John Velazquez. But selection time, Tom, this will come as no shock to anybody, but I'm with Mindframe. I just think he's the best horse in the race. I will forgive him his slight blip in the Belmont. I think he's an inexperienced horse. And you say he raced close to the pace. He did. He still had to make up 3 lengths, though, on a speed favouring track on Dornoch. I'd be disappointed if he couldn't win this Mindframe. I think Jasper's Pride follows him home in second.
Really?
No, sorry, no. Tuscan Sky follows him home in second.
That was almost the boldest shout of the century. I had to pull you up on that one. That would have been ridiculous. And you know what? I feel like if that actually does happen and Jasper's Pride does follow him home in second, we can go back and we can edit it and put that on socials because you kind of put it out there as that's what people do, isn't it? Like when they want to make bold predictions, but they don't fully believe them. So they're like, Patrick Mahomes is the best in the NFL. Actually, that's kind of what they do, isn't it? But,
I said it.
Yeah. I am with you, though, on Mindframe. I think he's the best horse in the race. It's not going to be a one-horse race. It's a quite interesting contest. I am scared of Tuscan Sky, especially if he's ridden prominently, but Mindframe just has the most upside. He's going to be a short price, probably 5 to 4, as I say, but I've been looking at these long shots in recent weeks. It's not been working. This time, hopefully, going with the favourite in Mindframe, we can both be celebrating once more.
Yeah, for sure. It's a competitive Haskell, which is nice to see. It's not maybe been the most competitive of races in recent years, but the Haskell looks much better this time around. So Mindframe for both myself and Tom. Busy this weekend?
On Sky on Saturday, as per. It was a good evening of racing as well. Obviously, we've got lots of action at Monmouth, but over at Saratoga, we do have the CCA Oaks as well, which we were going to cover. I was actually going to say to you, let's do the CCA Oaks. Until I saw the field, I don't know what the morning line is. I haven't checked, but Torpedo Anna's going to be way short. 1 to 2, maybe even shorter than that, I anticipate. It's quite a good race, though. Leslie's Rose and Intricate are in there. But yeah, Sky Saturday night. Other than that, not really. Just enjoy the weekend, I guess.
Torpedo Anna, I believe this is her prep, isn't it, for the Travers?
Yep.
Did I see Mystic Dan's been ruled out?
I don't know, possibly, but I think she's going there anyway.
Right, okay. Which is very interesting because, as I say, the 3-year-old boys, they're not sparkling this year, but we will learn more about those on Saturday. But we'll also learn more, well, We probably won't actually, but hopefully we see a nice performance from a Torpedo Anna, taking on Candide and also Leslie's Rose, who is the mount of John Velasquez, who will be at Saratoga, rather than riding Fierceness, who will not run in the Haskell. We'll wait for the Jim Dandy for him. Tom, episode 15, we think, in the books.
Yeah, it might actually be 16. I didn't want to correct you earlier, but it might be 16. Is that my running order?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully people can't read that. Well, it's either 15 or 16.
TNT, episode 15.
Yeah, I might have had a howler there. But anyway, yeah, it's another episode in the books. Quite a good one. Hopefully people enjoyed that. Definitely whack your comments in who you like in Haskell. If anyone actually liked Fierceness originally, and I know he's not going to run, but please put it in the comments, because I'm just surprised. Obviously, when they create the morning line, they anticipate what the punters are going to bet. Who would have bet Fierceness into 5-2 in this kind of race? If you would have been one of them, please put it in the comments. I don't know anyone else that would, so it'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, pass from my side. He's a very tough horse to predict. Biggest shock from last week, by the way, before we wrap this up. We spoke about desserts on socials. Do you want to know one of the most mentioned desserts that I completely forgot about, but I agree with?
Was it crumble?
Nope.
I did see a few for crumble though. Go on.
There were a few. Tiramisu.
No. Okay. End this podcast.
Well, you're not a grown-up though, are you?
I'm very. By that, do you mean I don't like hot drinks?
That one.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of hot drinks. I don't mind coffee flavour though. There's nothing wrong with that. But tiramisu is just not for me.
Fair enough. Just an insight into Tom's world, by the way. Tom on Sky Sports Racing. You have no idea where I'm going with this.
I don't have a clue.
Did you eat a Kit Kat Chunky on air?
Sorry, guys.
Every week, right, when Tom's on air on Saturday, he'll have his little snack because he gets a bit grumpy halfway through his shift.
6-hour shift.
He gets a bit grumpy halfway through his shift. He has his little chocolate bar, puts it down. That's it. Leave it to the cleaners. They can clean it up. It's their job.
No, right. Okay, you are correct. I feel like I'm being attacked here. You are correct. However, there is no bin in the studio. So it requires me leaving. And actually on Saturday, and this isn't an excuse for previous weeks, granted, but on Saturday I had to leave when we were still on air. So we didn't go to an advert break. I was just out. So that was my excuse. I didn't really pick it all up. I just kind of took my bag and left. But yeah, I hear your point. Next week, no Kit Kat Chunky wrapper there. Other chocolate is available, by the way.
It'll be a Mars bar. I believe the Kit Kat Chunky wrapper is still there as well.
Oh, I'll clear that up.
Just no one's got rid of it. Everyone's like, that's not my job. But that is episode whatever it is. Done and dusted. Tom, thank you for your company once again this week.
Thank you. Hopefully you enjoy the weekend. And everyone listening also has a great weekend. We've finally got heat in Great Britain. 26 today on Thursday, 28 on Friday, probably when most people are listening to this. So yeah, enjoy the weather.
Just in time for us both to go on holiday, not together next month, but we'll surface that further down the line. Next week we're back with horse racing, and we'll be NFL bound as well here on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment below, or on any of our social medias. Until we next speak to you next week, have a very good weekend. Stay safe, look after one another. Goodbye.